Hello everyone, it is time for a full review of Family Trainer, the co-op-centric, family-friendly exercise game from Bandai Namco. As a quick preface, if you're from the US or Canada, you will know this game as Active Life Outdoor Challenge, but for the rest of the review, for simplicity's sake, I'm going to refer to it as Family Trainer. So let's dive in, and if you're after a copy of the game, Bandai Namco have kindly sent me a copy to give away, so look out for details of that at the end. Family Trainer is actually a remade game from the Wii with the same name and same thesis, getting the whole family moving and working out. And the way it does this is through the use of, as the box puts it, over a dozen mini-games that use motion controls to work. The Wii version uses a floor pad akin to Dance Dance Revolution, whereas the Switch version takes a leaf out of the Ring Fit Adventure playbook and uses the leg strap as a motion control option. You get 2 leg straps with the box in the physical bundle, which you may have seen from the unboxing video from the other day. Strap the leg strap onto the left thigh and place the left Joy-Con in there, and use the right Joy-Con for the other controls. It's a unique control scheme that allows for a wider variety of movement to be utilised and creates a more interactive, interesting workout. And that brings me neatly to the meat of the game, which is the mini-games themselves, all 16 of them. So if you saw the first impressions video that I did, you'll know that I think the mini-games are a great way to get into fitness, and the more I play, the more I feel justified in saying so. Each minigame is super colourful, well explained with minimal exceptions, and most of all engaging to play, which is very encouraging. The aim of each minigame differs and often involves point scoring or competing for time, attempting to hit the finish line in the best time or get the highest score possible. The minigames have quite fitting motion controls to suit the style of game that it is, and for the most part each handle differently with a shared control scheme for a few. Timber Trail, Head-On Hurdler and Conveyor Runner share controls, as well as Jump Rope and Log Leaper, but they each have their own mechanics within the minigame that challenge you differently. After a lot of continual play, a few things have really become apparent to me. Firstly, that a surprising amount of minigames actually have reaction time as a factor, and therefore there is an explosive movement element in the games. This, combined with the mental side of trying to react as quick as possible, creates some great reflex training that you don't often see in a fitness game. This is especially apparent in games like Seesaw Battler and Timber Trail, and that is something to be commended. Next, the thesis of the game is to get everyone moving no matter what age they are. Now, in order to achieve that in a way that both young and old can do, taking into account flexibility, speed and joint issues, Family Trainer has made the minigames mainly focus on aerobic movements. The way you work hard for the majority of games is a steady or fast-paced continual movement which accelerates your heart rate and gets you sweating, which is great for burning calories. Now, that being a good or bad thing depends on your opinion on what you're looking for in a workout, to be honest. The third thing that became very apparent to me is that this is not just the super easy minigames that the trailers kind of make it out to be. If you want a really good aerobic cardio challenge, you can definitely find it in this game. There are specific exercise courses that focus on endurance training, including what can essentially be turned into an endless runner mode with the marathon training course. It is just 10-minute endless runs that can be repeated over and over. A lot of minigames like Head-On Hurdler, Kayak Attack, Conveyor Runner and Pipe Slider all feature continual movement paired with a high difficulty obstacle being thrown at you, to the point that it can make a really tough workout. It is limited to that particular aspect of fitness, sure, but it is really good, and it's really good to see that the advanced difficulty is not just made of really difficult mechanics that are hard to do at a fast pace. There is actual genuine aerobic cardio work that you can do that makes it hard. So essentially each minigame has its own charm and its own grace, but they are all based within aerobic cardio movements or reaction-based movements. So there is a specific limit on what the game can achieve on its own as a sole source of exercise. But let's not forget that this is just a game for everyone. This is meant to be all-encompassing for all ages, and therefore it's not aiming to be a hardcore workout. The main aim of this game is to be fun and to incentivize you to keep returning and playing. So therefore it doesn't need to be really complicated. As long as it's easy to get to grips with and is nice and colourful and you can keep coming back to it, then it's achieving the goal that it is set out to do. And that's why the motion controls work the way that they do. The motion controls themselves are pretty simple to use for the most part, require very little space to use, and as I said earlier, they generally function the way you'd assume they are meant to. Running requires you to run on the spot, rowing requires you to move like you're holding an oar, you jump to jump in game, and the detection for the most part seems pretty decent, if a little oversensitive at times. So from the first impressions video, I've actually managed to work out how Kayak Attack works. Turns out I was doing it completely wrong. It's meant to be a much smoother motion. But this brings me to the point where certain minigames don't detect as well as they should do. You find this quite a lot with Kayak Attack, with Minecart Adventure, basically minigames where you have to tip the controls slightly in order to go a certain direction. If you tip it past a certain angle, then it stops the detection altogether. Now when you're midway through a tough level, these little slips happen and it just throws your progress off, which can be extremely frustrating to deal with. In Kayak Attack, this is how you change direction with your boat, and in Minecart Adventure, it is how you lean at corners to stop you from falling over. I also noticed a few minor issues with jumping. If you go to bend your knees to brace to jump up, it will detect that range of motion of you going down into like the kind of the half squat. It will actually detect that as the jump and then make you jump in the game, and therefore you miss and you hit the rope or the log or whatever it is that you're trying to avoid. But these issues aside, I think the positive way to look at this is that the motion controls are precise enough that the error of margin is actually pretty wide. So I'm not too mad about it, because there isn't a minigame in the game that detects wrongly or is too difficult to make control as intended, and I think this is part of the accessibility factor. The range of motion has to be relatively limited so that little kids and older adults can actually still play, because they may not have the same range of motion that an able-bodied adult like myself has, so they have to encompass it in that way. Moving on and into the content of the game, there is a fair bit to discover and keep you coming back. Single player mode has outdoor adventure mode, a set of pre-made courses with unlockable extras based on high scores, which, let me interject here, the unlockable courses are actually really hard and just kick me all over the place. More about them later. This mode also gives you access to original courses where you can build your own string of minigames to play like a Ring Fit playlist, which is a neat customization feature. There is free play mode where you can select the minigame you want and play it, challenging your best time in the form of a ghost, which is a really cool feature. You can only play your own ghost and not other people's. Then there is the exercise training mode, which has pre-made courses where you try to get the most athletic points as possible, and it does a fair few longer gameplay sessions than the other modes. This is where you find the marathon training mode that I mentioned earlier, and it also gives access to the standard daily streak system that you find in most fitness games. Here I'll make a point, because the record keeping system in the game tracks the athletic points that you get in each session. And that's great and everything, but it doesn't actually do anything. There's no tangible tracking of calories burnt, height, weight, anything like that you would find in your standard fitness games or apps. Now there is an advantage here, it's all based on movement, so I can move the same amount that a child would move and we get the same amount of athletic points, which is really cool. So it's pretty fair in general, where Ring Fit, fitness boxing, and in the future Knockout Home Fitness use that as an incentive to come back and try and reduce those numbers or whatever it is you're trying to do with your goals. You won't find that in Family Trainer, but that really does lean into the aspect that this is a different type of fitness game to those. Anyway, that's it for single player modes, but you can also play the minigames in co-op with extra controllers and do either battle together, take turns, or co-op play. Each represents a different type of multiplayer experience depending on what you and your play partner want to do. The games function exactly the same with the exception of Waterfall Climber, which has its own co-op control scheme where one person is jumping up and the other person is pulling you up, which creates a really fun and unique synchronization system that unfortunately isn't seen elsewhere. More of this please, Bandai Namco. So as you can see, there are a lot of different play modes, a lot of different options that you can have each day, so you can come back every day and do something different, which is a really cool incentive. But personally, I think the greatest incentive that the game has to keep you returning each day is actually the challenge medal system. It has unlockable aesthetics for your character, and there's a lot of different challenges to keep you repeating and playing different minigames that you may not be so fussed about otherwise. Each minigame has 4 medals associated with it, and there are 100 in total to earn. And some of them are really hard and based on the end game challenges, which is really cool, so there's definitely a progression path for you to have. And I really think this is a great incentive to come back and keep playing, because it's very different to a lot of other fitness games. As far as graphics go, as I mentioned near the start of the review, the game is a remade Wii game with these sorts of shovelware-esque graphics, but they're very chunky, very blocky, and it's a clear attempt to appeal to kids. The models run quite smoothly, and frankly I don't really have any issue with it. Graphics are never really top of my list, but it's stylized and cartoony, just what you need from a family game. Music-wise, what they use fits really well. It's bouncy and energetic where it needs to be, with calmer songs for areas like Water Trampoline and a really Sonic Adventure-esque sound for Pipe Slider. They do the job they need really well, and I think that's a really good way of putting the game in general. You see, as I alluded to earlier, I think that this game is just a very different fitness experience. Being all-encompassing to get many people of all ages to come in and play, and get even non-gamers interested in playing as well, means that they have created a simplified view of fitness. It is get sweaty and do things quick. The goals are always simple. It's either get the most amount of points in the shortest amount of time, or get to the goal line before the timer runs out. and so you work very hard in order to achieve that as best as possible. This approach is great in a lot of ways because they've tailored and tapered the game and its difficulties as best as possible to encompass everyone. If you want to just have fun, get a little bit sweaty, get a little bit competitive with your mates, then that is definitely something you can do within the game, and it's very easy to access. But if you're looking for a really much harder aerobic workout, then yeah, you can definitely find it here too. The unlockable endgame courses are genuinely really hard, and they require good knowledge of the game itself, how the movement works, and routing as well in order to complete the level as best as possible, let alone get a good score. The simple control scheme of each game makes this work really well on both a casual and hardcore level. But does that make the fitness aspect a little bit two-dimensional? Yeah, unfortunately it does. As I said earlier, it's aerobic fitness and it's reaction time. There's no sort of resistance training element like you would find in Ring Fit Adventure, or no technique-based movements like you would find in Fitness Boxing 2. So if you're looking for the depth and breadth of fitness that other fitness games have offered in the past, unfortunately you're not going to find it here. But what Family Trainer does deliver is a fun, effective fitness game, and I think that is really what's at the heart of it. It is a game. Whereas something like Fitness Boxing 2 I would actually class based on its structure as more of a fitness app than a game, this is through and through a game, and with that at its core and its all-encompassing approach, I would say that Family Trainer is a fantastic casual exercise experience for those who want something lighthearted and want to get a little bit active with their gaming. But you can still get a tough aerobic cardio workout if you want it. So with this recommendation, there are definitely areas where the game can improve. The descriptions of some of the minigame control schemes are really not done very well, like Kayak Attack and to an extent Mountain Border, and frankly for a game where they want everyone involved, the accessibility options are just not there. There isn't a way to increase text size, have someone speak out the instructions, or alter the control schemes in any way to assist those who are not able-bodied, which is disappointing to see after a game like Ring Fit Adventure doing it so successfully. I'm hoping that options like that are going to be made available and are being considered for future updates, because it just increases the scope of people who can actually play the game. And I want more people to play the game because honestly I'm having a really fun time with Family Trainer at the moment. So with that, I will draw my conclusions on this review. This is a fantastic casual family friendly exercise experience that really manages to get a lot of people involved and is great in co-op. It gives plenty of options for getting sweaty and having a really fun time. I love that it's not just easy as the trailers made out. There is an actual difficulty curve with a high skill ceiling where if you want to perfect a game and have a really hard workout, it makes it a lot more fun than just exercising hard on the spot. But with this being a more casual exercise experience, it doesn't have the depth that other exercise games have with its training, or with its body part targeting, or with its record keeping. So if you're looking for a good way to get the family moving, or you want something more casual and light for yourself as a bit of, light-hearted aerobic training, this will definitely deliver for you. But while you've got it and you want to make some hard workouts for yourself, you can do that too. I'm honestly going to recommend it. I'm not disappointed at all. So yeah, I definitely went a little bit more in depth with that review than I was intending, but it is important to justify the way that I'm feeling about the game, and so I hope that you have found it very informative. Now, are you after a copy of the game? I'm sure you are. Well, from when this review goes live until Saturday the 25th of September at midnight AEST, so Sydney time, thanks to the awesome people at Bandai Namco Australia, I have a copy to give away, the physical bundle. Let me get it for you. Here, through the magic of video editing, it is right here. So yeah, it's still in the shrink wrap, so it's all good. If you want to be in with a chance of winning, all you need to do is click on the Gleam link in the description below and enter through there. There's multiple ways of entering and you can have multiple entries as well. Winner will be selected at random. The competition is open to most areas. Please see the description for more information. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this review. I hope you're enjoying it and I hope you enjoy Family Trainer when you pick it up. Let me know if you've got the game already or if you've got any comments or questions. Put them down in the comments box below. As always, like, share, subscribe for more Family Trainer content incoming. I've been Master Trainer Peter and I'll see you soon.